Hello and welcome to CDRA Twitch Teach. I am your host, David Amboys, and we are ready to go with showcasing what has been happening in the Championship Developmental Racing Association. I am David Amboys, and this week's guest is coming off a pretty impressive victory at Chicagoland Speedway in the Court National Cup Series one night ago. It is Mitchell Riggs. Mitchell, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good. I am. It's been chilling all day, ready to get on air here and talk about the Cedar race we had Monday.
Yeah, and what a CDRA race we had at Iowa Speedway, our second short track of the season, the first one being at New Smyrna back in August, and this one here, a lot to get to. We have a lot of things to get to. Had a fair amount of cautions. I can't remember the exact number of cautions that we had for the event at Iowa on Thursday night, but we got some really, really great stuff here. Mitchell, you've run some races in the CDRA Motorsports Drop Super Truck Series, and you were jazzed about this concept right from the get-go.
Yeah, I really do think this is what, like, court in general and the whole overall thing needs. I think, there was a couple guys that struggled with the transition to league racing from just, like, regular official racing. And so I think CDRA is the perfect series for those guys to develop their craft and learn how to race in a actual league setting where points matter, and it goes week after week, and you're gonna have to race against the same guys week after week. So I just think it's great.
And the other thing too, and you are limited by this by virtue of your finishing position in last season's Court National Cup Series, but limited starts means that you experience battling against drivers that are not necessarily better, but have more experience, but you're still battling with drivers the entire season.
Yeah, I mean, Cup guys come out every once in a while, and I'm one of them. I did the first race at Homestead, and in the truck series, like if a Cup guy comes down in real life, I mean, in truck series, like Kyle Busch comes down, or like a Chase Elliott. It's pretty much a guarantee that they're going to be in the top five, maybe a win. Homestead, I was coming in there, I was pretty confident, and it was actually a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. And it was people that run the series full time, like they are using this to develop themselves, and they gave me a run for my money. I was really surprised, and like even at Darlington, people were like, we have like Elliot Henderson, guys in the top five, Matt Everhart. Those guys gave me a run for my money, and they showed that they can run up there with the top guys that run in court cups. So yeah, it's just been really great to run with those guys and see their characteristics on the track.
And it kind of came into play late in the going here at Iowa on Monday night in between Matt Everhart and Jordan Erickson having a really fantastic battle near the end before Curtis Granger kind of snuck up from behind and took the victory on Monday night. So very fun to see that, that kind of difference in experience, or a difference in standing, and seeing it how it all plays out. Hey Mitchell, why don't we go ahead and get started with this replay? What do you say?
I'm ready, man. Let's get to it.
All right, we're going to start with this accident here on lap 31 for number 6 Texas/Canadian Chris Blackstock. As we're going to go ahead and roll the replay here. And this is a case of a driver just having just overcorrecting, in my opinion. He kind of gets tapped by Brent Sweet, and then bam, hard into the outside wall, blows the engine. And we'll go ahead and watch that one from the replay view, or from the cockpit view. And this is the real telltale sign. Watch the wheel here when I roll this replay here. That it does kind of budge here when check out this overcorrection.
Yeah, he's coming down the corner here, and he had it for a little bit there. He had it. He had the wheel cranked to the right, and he would have just kept it at that specific angle there, he would have had it. But I think it came back a little bit to the left, and he thought, like, okay, maybe I could just put some throttle in it, and he kind of put it back to the left, and that's when it overcorrects. And that's when it happens every time. Anytime you overcorrect, it's almost like 99% of the time it's when you think you got it and you can just gas it up and go. That's when it overcorrects on you. You got to just keep it at a steady angle, not do too many wheel movements, and hopefully it'll work out for you.
Do you think getting out of the throttle would have helped him there?
Oh, for sure. Getting out of the throttle, even maybe locking up the brakes, because he still had a lot of room up towards the wall. He could have maybe locked the brakes down, got out of the throttle, slowed that truck down a little bit, and yeah, definitely not gone in head first into the wall. That pretty much will end your night right off the bat here on lap 31. That's a bummer for him.
Yeah, he did end up coming back out a little bit longer, but as you could tell, he finished about 30 laps down in the event. All right, moving on to our second incident here, and this one's going to be over on lap 53. This involves Dave Cuvier.
Yeah, Dave's coming into turn 1 here.
Yeah.
I can't. Is that Keith Black on the bottom?
Nope, that would be John Wilco.
Oh, John
and
Wilco,
Roger
yeah.
Espinoza, and here comes the problem right here. Is just too much wheel.
Yeah. And you know what? That's a big problem, or a big thing I see in a lot of like rookie getting new to iRacing drivers, is that they have the wheel. They're turning a lot, and you don't really need to turn that much to get through these corners. You pretty much got to do just the bare minimum to get through these corners. That's the best way to go. When you turn a lot like that, it's harder to save, and even if you get sideways, it's just real hard to save. Like right here, he's turning left. Right there, he'd probably be straight. The wheel have straight coming out of the corner. He's not. He's overcorrect now. He's turning right, left. There's no way he's going to save that. Just a hard break. And hopefully he'll learn from that, and we'll see better improvement.
Yeah, that's what we call push loose, where you're putting so much wheel into the vehicle, into the truck, into the car, however you want to put it. It causes the back end to actually just lose contact, and then before you know it, you went from being tight to loose, and bam.
Yep. And not only is it hard to save when you're turning as much as it's just tearing the tires up really bad. Like it'll tear that right front up if you got it cranked all the way to the left like that. So it's just a bad habit that people have here when they get started on iRacing, and eventually you'll learn, and that's a tough break for him.
Got to give a shout out though to Mr. Wilco. Check out this hair racing moment for him there at that moment.
He's just going along, and all of a sudden he's got Cuvier in front of him. That was pretty wild. I don't think he hit him. So, yeah, good job.
No harm, no foul for Mr. Wilco. So
yeah,
great,
good for him.
Good job there. This one requested to be reviewed here at as we move on to our next incident. This one happened about a dozen laps or so later. This one was on lap number 63, and this involves the number 30 of Kyten Bummersbach.
Oh yeah, my teammate.
And the number 61 of Jory Fleischauer. As I can try and find the replay lap here, if I can. I believe it's going to be right over here. I believe. Nope, this is not it. We are looking for this replay lap here, folks. Sorry. There we go.
Probably going to be this one, yeah.
Yeah, there we go. I think it's the next lap, actually. Yes, here it is. Sorry, folks. And we will go to the rear chase, or far chase, and coming off a 2.
Yeah. That, and honestly, to keep it real with you, Kyten kind of was not as close to the wall as he kind of should have been, but also Jory was coming up because he thought Kyte was going to be closer to the wall. It was kind of just a meeting in the middle there. See, yeah. And unfortunately, that you wouldn't think of it. You wouldn't think that would happen, but it gave Kyte a meatball flag.
Yeah.
It kind of ended his race.
Yeah, kind of shocking.
Really unfortunate. See, Kyte's moving down, and Jory's coming up, so they're gonna meet. It's inevitable. It's frustrating.
Yeah.
See, because Jeff Gross right in front of him here, and they're all running a line. Kyte was kind of moving down. Maybe he thought Jory was a little bit farther down the track. I'm not sure. It's unfortunate, but that caused a big wreck after that too.
Yeah, unfortunately it did, and it basically ended my night here. As we'll watch this here, and there we go, and it looks okay, and then that happened. I have no idea how that happened, but the 28 of Chris Sweat got into me, and
Yeah.
cause that. But you see here, and this is another example of something that could kind of touch on is coming back up the racetrack. If you watch here, the 61 is coming back up on the racetrack, and you'll see this hole just close up
Yeah.
real quick as Eric Height and I make contact, and then we make contact with the outside wall.
Do you think you could go to Jory's onboard here for a second?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go ahead and do that. 61 car of Jory, as we'll go to the cockpit view.
Okay, so he's coming down the back straight. He makes contact with Kite. Right there, when the car starts to go back towards the wall, that's a good place to just lock it down.
Yeah.
And not come back up into everyone else, because everyone else is going to be going to the right trying to avoid it. He's right now, he's got his wheel turned to the right. He's trying to stay off of Kite, minimize the damage. But right here, this is when you lock down the brakes. If he locks down the brakes, he's just going to slide down left with Kite, maybe not even touch him. Those two will go on with their race, except Kite. He got a black or meatball, but he's not going to hit anybody else. Those guys will just go around him. But he's trying to save it. He's trying to keep it out of the wall, and he turns right, and you people behind you just have nowhere to go.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate. That's just what happens with a restart incident like that, where, we're 2 or 3 laps into a restart. That just kind of happens. Got a request to look at Mike Oppenheimer's view. He's in the chat. How you doing, Mike Oppenheimer, on this Thursday evening?
Mike?
And let's go ahead and take a look and see what the OO is dealing with in this incident. So he's further back.
Yeah, he sees it, though. He sees those guys getting into it. He starts slowing down. Good job. He goes to the left. He sees Kite. He starts going through the middle. He sees you fly off, and he kind of got put in a hard space there. He had really nowhere to go. He starts slowing down, which is the best thing you could do. It gives you more time to avoid the wreck.
Yeah.
Let's see a little bit more here.
Yeah. So
Sweat's up there. He gets involved.
Sorry, we'll play it back at real speed.
Yeah. Coming down the backstretch here. He sees the problem. Those guys are going high. He thought about going left. He saw Kite there. Yeah. That's tough.
He did all the right things. Like, it's just the case of, it happens in racing a lot, where you do all the right things. You slow up for the accident in front of you, and you try it and back it down to not create a bigger incident and not try and just plow into an accident. But sometimes the luck isn't there. So you see the.
And 20... I mean, we saw it like there live, like we played at full speed. That wreck happened in 4-5 seconds. He had. Or maybe even 2 or 3. He had that much time to think about what he was going to do, where he was going to go, and he made a decision earlier. He was going to go down to the left, but he saw Kite. He couldn't see it behind the 48 of Nate White. He couldn't see Kite, so he was going to go down there. There's really nothing he can do at this point, like right here where we're at.
Yeah, and
he sees sweat coming down. It's tough.
And I want to point out here, he's got his brakes completely locked up here. So, if you play it, he's locked up, and then he lets it roll just a little bit. And unfortunately,
I'll tell you what, Nate White did a fantastic. Wow.
Yeah.
I'd never noticed that.
Yeah, let's go ahead and watch Nate White here in the 48. And you'll see him down through this incident. So he sees the accident happening in front of him here. He sees the contact between the 61 and the 30. And you're going to see
he slows down. He's doing what he needs to do. He's checking up.
He's slowing down.
And another point here. Can we pause this real quick?
Yep.
Sweat up here on the top right, he's gassing it up because he's not going to expect these guys to not hold their brakes down here and come back up. He's gassing it up, trying to get around it on the outside. Nothing he really did wrong either. If those guys would have held their brakes, he would have been fine. He would have made it through the way he did. But those guys, the Jory up there in the 61 was trying to save it, didn't hold his brakes, and right up in front of him. Tough break for those guys. But Nate White, look at this.
Woo!
Wow.
Hey,
that was crazy.
The one thing that we could argue, as you see.
Yeah, there you are.
Yeah, man, that was not a fun trip. But the one thing that I could argue is that we didn't talk enough about good things from the Darlington event. So on Cedra Twitch Teach. So glad to point out some of these really nice moves. So John Wilco earlier, and now this move by Nate White here. Yeah. Let's go ahead and move on. We're going to move on to, I believe, the number 81 of Connor Holden here. He is involved in an incident on lap 72. And we'll see here. This is an incident with him and I believe the number 93 of Steve Boylan.
They're going through 3 and 4 here. Ooh. Well.
So let's roll that again. Sorry.
Yeah. Let's see what happened here.
So they make maybe
Ooh.
contact, maybe
Yeah.
netcode, and the 81.
I
comes
definitely
around.
think there definitely may have been contact. It was very slight, but that's all it took to see Connor, his truck just get unbalanced there and he'd go around. Let's see that again from this angle here.
Yeah, so we'll go from reverse angle, and looking here, he makes a big charge into the corner. The 93
93's getting tight.
glances.
Yeah, I think he did make a little bit of contact. And see, he's the back end starting to slide out there.
Yeah, if anything, it's very, very faint. Very, very,
maybe even a little bit of net code, maybe.
Yeah, it tremendously faint. I'm not exactly sure. I mean, Boylan does come up here, and he does come up just a hair.
Yeah.
But you know,
but you can tell. Look at Boylan's truck at the front end. He's hitting the bumps. He's getting tight. He's on along for the ride also. So he's trying to stay off of Connor as much as he can.
Yeah, there's contact.
A little bit of contact.
Yeah,
it's very slight.
Yeah, there's the contact right there.
Yeah, so close to not contact either too. That's tough.
Yeah, tough one there. So that's just the case. What would Boylan need to do there? Just get out of the throttle more on the exit?
Well, can we see an onboard maybe?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go ahead and pull up the onboard on the 93 of Steve Boylan.
Okay, let's play that full speed. Yeah, here we go. All right, going through the corner here.
A lot of wheel.
Yeah, a lot of wheel. And a lot of that is him trying to keep it off of the Connor. I mean, he definitely hits some bumps that kind of send him off the track. He's definitely trying to keep it off Connor. Maybe just get out of the gas more. Maybe. Connor's up. He's giving Boylan room. I mean, because you see Joe Dorsey's line. He's up higher than that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
contact.
You know.
And yeah. Just a tough break.
Yeah, I mean that's tough. I mean, two guys trying to do all they can to stay off each other. Boylan hits some bumps down there. That's gonna make him tight, and that's a tough break.
Spins it. It worked out for Connor though. He did end up coming home with a 4th place finish when all was said and done. Great. So it's kind of worked out for him in that situation. But just a case of maybe some net code, maybe some contact. I would argue it's contact, but
also, this is lap 72. We're not even halfway into this race.
Yeah, it was
maybe a little bit of more patience by both these guys. Like, we're battling for 24th on lap 72. If you lose one spot, it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
Let's just be let's give each other a little bit more room. Let's be a little bit more patient. But
sorry, go ahead.
It's just a tough situation. Boylan was trying all he could to stay off of him. Iowa's really bumpy, and that'll tighten your car real up really good. So
yeah, the other thing too is keep in mind these guys probably didn't come in for tires at this point. They only had one set of tires in the pits, so
yeah,
they probably are still on really worn out 75 lap old tires. So
this probably was the caution that brought everybody in.
Yes,
because this was around halfway, or definitely not Curtis Granger, but
no.
A lot of the people in the field came in under this caution. So
yes, that they did. All right, our hard luck award needs to go to the 36 of Keith Black. We're going to be bringing up this one here. This one occurred on lap 93, and you'll watch Keith here on this one as we follow behind the 90 or the 36, and you want to keep an eye on the contact further up ahead. It's going to be in between these two trucks here of Ricky Butler and Nate White, I believe it was. I believe it was Nate White. Nope, it's the next lap. Sorry, my apologies. The 48 and the 10 make some contact here, and you're going to just see Mr. Black be in the worst spot at the worst time, as you'll see the contact up here.
And Keith's running the high line. And
they make contact again. Oh,
yeah, that's tough. And there's the way that the walls react to cars hitting them and fling them back out in the track, there's nothing really he could have done. I mean, he slowed down. He was trying to stay off. If this was real life, Nate would have just stayed right up on the wall. But Nate, he flew back out onto the track, and that's tough. That's just one of those iRacing deals where there's not much you could have done. Yeah,
If
that's
he,
tough.
yeah, I feel like he rebounds way too far. It's just a
Yeah.
tough break because if he
I mean,
doesn't,
yeah, Keith's trying to go to the bottom. He's trying to get away from it. He's slowing down. Yeah,
yeah,
that
I
sucks.
feel like it would have been relatively contained to about here, if anything,
Yeah,
when the accident occurs. So for it to happen here is just brutal. You know,
yeah.
it's just frustrating. It
Can
sucks.
can we go back to the beginning of that incident, like up there?
Yeah,
Let's
let's showcase this right here.
because I think this is a pretty interesting incident here. Um, let's go. Let's see what Nate. Let's see Nate here.
Nate on board.
No, just a far chase.
All right.
Because, because I think the reason why he got into Ricky Butler here, well, Ricky Butler kind of came down a little bit, but the reason why Nate was running so high is because he thought the 81 of Connor was going to throw it in there, I think,
Mm-hmm.
and he ran a little bit higher when he could have been, he's clear. He could have been running on the bottom, but he was afraid that the 81 was going to run into him or try to take it 3 wide.
Yeah.
Ricky Butler is coming down the track. He doesn't see any of that.
Yeah.
He probably thinks Nate Weiss is going to go to the bottom here. He doesn't realize that Connor's back there kind of showing his nose a little bit. He comes down the track and Nate gets into him.
Yeah. And
That happens at Iowa a lot.
yeah, the irony is Connor was nowhere near these two.
Right.
And that's all positioning. That
Yeah.
positioning is such a huge factor when it comes to this. Is you'll see here, Connor never ever gets above maybe about the second groove on the back straightaway. He stays
Yeah.
fairly low the entire backstretch when realistically he could have made the move up a little bit here, but I think he was afraid of clearing himself off of the 48 of white and just wanted to kind of avoid it there. But yeah,
And we don't know the tire situation, so maybe Connor thought he had fresher tires and he was just going to roll right around Nate on the bottom. I don't know. But he definitely stayed down there, and I can guarantee that Nate thought, man, he's going to fling it in there and maybe even get into me. So I'm going to give him a lot of room here. And Ricky Butler is just up there. He's thinking, well, I don't know why Nate's running this high. I think he can come down a little bit. He comes down the track normal line, and Nate gets into him. That's tough.
The other thing too is Nate's throttle point where he gets onto the throttle here is a
Yeah.
lot earlier than where Ricky's is, and you'll see that.
Yeah,
that's
maybe
what
a little
creates-
too early because he starts pushing up the track even where he gets on the throttle. So maybe a little too early on the throttle.
Yeah, front end wasn't quite set there, and it
Yeah.
just kind of comes up, and
Yeah.
and then unfortunately, on the Ricky makes a pretty good save, and
Ricky's doing all he can here. It's not a thing where Ricky's trying to come back down. He's actually just trying to save his race,
Yeah,
really.
he's trying to hang on to it.
Yeah, and Nate was just there. Tough break for
and
Keith and Nate, really.
Yeah, Keith with a tough break there too. Moving on here, we're gonna focus in on the number 92 of Drew Glover. If I could find his name, why don't I just do this? It makes it a lot easier. Drew Glover on lap 102, as we'll follow along here. And this unfortunately really hurt his chances of a good run. This is on a restart, first lap of a restart, and he and Elliot Henderson, title contender, make contact in 1 and 2.
That's tough.
And then
Can we go back to
gets
the beginning of that?
run into by the 20 of Peter Monsanto.
See, okay, this is why Iowa is pretty tough. In 3 and 4, the line that Drew was running there, going like that would have been fine in 3 and 4, but he does that same line in 1 and 2, and the top in 1 and 2, really bumpy.
The other thing too, this is on a restart, and the 37 gets a jump and a half on overshot, I believe, in the DeMonte Dotson in the 47, and just kind of woes it up. And now he's frazzled because he's thinking, oh crap, this restart didn't go the way I wanted to. I had to get out of it, and now here comes the outside lane.
Yeah, I think Elliott too had to go to the middle because I think, is that Joe Dorsey up there in the orange truck?
Yeah, that's the 13.
I think he didn't get as good of a start as he wanted to. Elliott was just trying not to run in the back of overshot here. He goes to the middle. He keeps this line going into 1 and 2. Middle and 1 and 2 is fine to run. That's a good line. Drew Glover's a little bit high. He realizes, hey, this line sucks. I'm not going to run up there. I'm going to go down towards the middle, and they just meet.
Yeah, they just meet right here. It looks like a little bit of net code, but it would have happened anyways. And they phase through one another.
Elliott's trying to save he got. I mean, they made contact, and Elliott, the back end of his truck, got in the air. So
Yeah.
he's trying to. There's nothing really much he can do. He's trying to stay off of him.
Ooh.
Drew gets the wall.
Ooh.
Charlie, gets a little bit
Yeah.
of a scrape.
Heck
I
of
think
a
there's someone else that comes over and hits him.
Yeah, it's gonna
Oh,
be the
Portland does a
20
good
of
job.
Peter here is gonna run in square, and
Yeah.
unfortunately, let's just pause this right here and go to the 20 of Akumano. If you cut to his cockpit view,
Yeah.
he ends
He's-
up staring smack dab in the face the widest part of the truck here.
Yeah.
You know,
In real life, that would have been a big hit.
yeah, a big driver's side hit. You know, that would have really hurt. But
Peter's got that wheel cranked. He's
trying
trying as
to,
much as he can.
At this point, he's like, I'll take a glancing blow.
And if you go back, he can't even really see. Like, if we go back to when he's right behind Ricky Butler here, because Ricky Butler goes to the high side, he can't. He sees him up there.
Yeah.
But he can hardly see him right behind Ricky Butler. So, I mean, he had the wheel cranked. It was as much as he could have done.
Yeah.
That's a tough break.
And that's the other thing too, and so many people are quick to flame, especially if they're in an accident of, oh, this guy ran into the back of me, this guy ARCA braked into me, or however you want to put it, or didn't slow down and ran right into me. Well, to be honest, the trucks are maybe the worst when it comes to visibility out in front.
Yeah. And people just don't realize that you have so little time to make your decision on what you're going to do and do it. Like, it's unbelievable. Like, that right there, he's processing what just happened in front of him. He sees, oh, there's a wreck. I better get the heck out of here. I'm going to crank it to the left. And he's got the wheel cranked as much as he can.
Yeah.
And I just don't see, because maybe if that truck was, not sideways like that, he would have been fine. But the truck sideways, he really had nowhere to go.
Yeah, tough break. And they the 20 Peter was pretty mad about it after the race, but I think Drew and Elliott talked about it, and it seemed like they kind of hashed things out. So,
and I understand Peter's frustration, because it is really frustrating just getting wrecks that you really don't think you can. There's nothing you can do, and you had no control over your outcome, and it is frustrating. I totally get his frustration.
Yeah, absolutely. Moving on here to lap 107. This one is involving the man who ended up with the top 5 on the evening, Jeff Gross here. And this is a case of doing the right thing when you self-spin right here. Gross will lose it all by himself in turn 2, but he does the right thing. Just holds a
little too early on the throttle coming off the corner, but he spun it down towards the bottom.
Yeah.
And I think he got on the gas trying to get out of everybody's way, and then when he realized he's out of everybody's way, he held the brakes down. So
there you go.
That's as good as it's going to get, really.
Tightened up the radius of the spin, slowed off the speed, kept it relatively tidy, and it was in a pretty predictable spot on the corner. It's not in the racing lane, and you see here, if you look here, everybody here is staying. This is the exit of the corner. They're trying to run this way, so he's staying out of the way, and everybody is able to get around him. It does trigger the caution because he does spin. He's in the racing groove, so it would bring it out. But it didn't end his night. He didn't make any contact with anybody, and he ended up with the top 5 out of it.
And that very easily could have ruined his night, because if you go back to the beginning of that, there's quite a few people behind him, and there's Joe Dorsey on the bottom. So if he just gives up on trying to save it and just locks it down, he's got a couple people that he's going to collect and probably just end his night right there. So
that's 6 trucks right there.
He did a great job. Yeah.
So yeah, absolutely. And like I said, here's another shot. Spins it, locks it down, realizes he ain't going to save it, locks it down, lives to fight another day. And that's the big thing here is, a lot of the time, people are so committed to, oh, I got to make this corner. Oh, I got to keep this position. It's the situational awareness of, hey, live to fight another day. Here, there's still 43 laps to go in the scheduled distance. We ended up running 162, but there's still time to go in this race. You can get these spots back.
And if you make a mistake, keep your head in the game. Don't break apart here. We still got a long way to go. And I don't know Jeff's pit situation here, but I mean, he spun out. If he's got tires, go throw some tires on. He's going to be in a good spot here. There's only 50 laps to go, and it's only lap 107. He's going to have some time to make up. Yeah, you got to keep your head in the game, and you got to think big picture.
Yeah, absolutely. Alrighty, so now comes our main teaching point of this week. I know it's going to be pretty controversial, and I think there's been some people who have been watching our show so far. And by the way, we are in the Twitch chat. Want to appreciate everybody checking in the CDRA Twitch Teach this week at Iowa. But lap traffic, it came into play heavily at the end of this one, Mitchell. And we're going to start off with the first real instance where it really came into play. Justin Bland, final run of the race. He is running third. Here is first, Matt Everhart. Second, Jordan Erickson. This is the lap truck of Chris Blackstock, who we featured earlier in the event, who had a blown engine. He's multiple laps down, 30 laps down at this point, and is just trying to survive. Now, Mitchell, when you're a lap truck, which doesn't happen a lot to you, to be quite honest, you're pretty good. But when you're a lap down vehicle, what's the imperative thing when you're underpowered and you're just trying to get points?
You have to stay out of the leader's way. If the leaders are running a certain line, stay as far away as you can from it. And, I mean, be consistent as well, also. If you're not going to go, if you're going to run on the same line as us, as the leaders, be consistent. Don't freak out when we get to you and change it, do a totally different thing. Keep doing what you're doing. We'll find a way to get around you, and or just run the lane that's not the preferred racing line, especially late in the race when there's a battle for the lead.
So here, Blackstock is underpowered, and Bland is to his quarter panel. At this point, what should Chris do?
Chris should definitely go to the high side here, because Bland's pretty much chosen where he's going to go. He said he's going to go to the bottom or the middle. What Blackstock needs to do, he needs to stay as on the high side, just consistently up there. Just stay there. Give Bland as much room as he can, and just let him go by. Don't give him a hard time. Just let him go.
Because keep in mind, these are the leaders, and he's third. So
Yeah.
he's in this battle still. If these guys have one slip up, he's right in it. Also, if you're a lap down, the best tab to have open, in fact, I have it open 99% of the time, run your relative, your F3 key. Absolutely.
Please run your relative.
Yes.
Please run. The relative is, honestly, between switching your tires and your fuel out, I don't see a point in running the F2 bar or the F1 box or anything like that. The F3 is the most important box you could be running, especially if you're a lap down.
Yeah, and
it'll let you know when the leaders are coming. It'll let you know who the leaders are, because it'll be a different color. It's so important to have your relative on.
Yeah, relative, if you're new to iRacing or anything, if it's in red, it means that they're a lap ahead of you and you should yield to that driver. If they're blue, that means that they should lead, or they should yield to you. So very important. And if you're a lap down, you should absolutely, no questions asked, have your relative up. Just here's a little experiment for you. Take a look at any Twitch stream. Like if you go to the iRacing Twitch category right now and you pulled up just about every single, POV, quote unquote, Twitch stream, you're going to see everyone runs the relative, and they run it for a reason. Like, it's to not only just see the gaps in between the car you're battling or the car behind you, but it's also, when you're in this situation, to check for the leaders. So as we roll the replay,
I will say this though, real quick. Say at a track like Talladega or Daytona, it's not, if you're in the pack and you're running, it's not going to be that important to run your F3, because it's going to be pretty much the same a lot. But at a short track or an intermediate or even a mile and a half, the relative is the most important box you could be running most of the like 99% of the time. It helps you out a lot, and it lets you know where the leaders are at. It lets you know where the lap car's at in front of you. It's a great tool, and I'm really glad iRacing has that in there.
Yep. So we'll go ahead and roll this forward. So you'll see here, this is where the incident happens. Blackstock tries to make a pass on height, and at this point, he's side by side with the third place driver of Bland. They make contact here because of the fact that Blackstock is trying to pass height. Now, Eric Height ended up finishing 15th on the lead lap. Chris Blackstock ended up finishing 28th, 30 laps down.
And at that point, I get that Blackstock's faster than Eric Height, but you got to realize that the third place car in the race is to your low side. You got to give him more consideration than that. Just let Bland by and then pass Eric Height the next corner. It doesn't really matter. You're 30 laps down. Yeah. There's not much you're going to be able to gain. It's not like you're going to make the playoffs by passing Eric Height. You just give these guys some room and let them run their race.
This is another situation here, and this is for all the leaders. It's Roger Espinoza and Mike Oppenheimer here in the 00, and you'll see them have to really duck out of it. And unfortunately, due to that, that's going to leave Espinoza with a terrible entry into the corner.
Yeah.
And that leads to this incident on lap 127.
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah.
See, can we go back to like when the leaders caught those two?
Yeah.
Let's go up to Espinoza here. You can hit play here. Espinoza is trying to make a pass on Mike Oppenheimer. This is the same, like Eric Height and Blackstock again. That's the same thing where he can pass him. He is faster than them. But you got to realize that the leaders are right behind you. You got to give them a little bit more consideration, and just let those guys by and then pass them later on. It's not going to change your race that much if you pass him right now, and you just got to give the leader some room. They're racing for the win of the race.
Yeah, and it's late too. We're within 25 laps to go, and that comes down. So, yeah, unfortunately, Everhart tries to force it up here, and he does end up, but he does make contact with him because I think what's happening is Everhart's trying to move out of the way, or he's thinking Espinoza's going to come down here and move out of the way, but he doesn't, and he kind of gets shoved out of the way, and then that leaves Ericsson having to make that move, and then by proxy, that's going to leave him with a terrible entry, and you see how it kind of snowballs. It kind of snowballs, unfortunately. And
if you're going to enter that low going into turn one, you either got to slow it way down,
and he can't because he's going 134 miles an hour at this point. He's way too hot into the corner, and that just leads to him coming up, and like Bland's lucky that wasn't bigger.
Yeah, and that is, and Roger is trying to do the right thing here.
Yes,
he tried. I think maybe he may have not had his relative on, which again, really important. You got to have your relative on when the leaders are coming up. I don't think he had his relative on, and he saw that. He looked at his mirror and he's like, "Oh my God, there's the leaders." Mm-hmm. So he flew down to the bottom, and he's set up terribly for this corner. He slides up and gets into Bland. I think had he had his relative on and knew what was coming, he would have rode behind Oppenheimer there, give those guys the bottom, and I don't think there would have been any problem there.
Yeah.
But
and unfortunately, it continues for Justin Bland. A stretch of 7 laps leads to this incident on lap 130. This is Dave Cuvier. He's back out. He's 60 laps down. 60 laps down. And you'll see Cuvier runs way high up in the corner. And okay, we're going to stop it right here. Yeah. He needs to be out of the throttle. That just point blank. He needs to be out of the throttle.
I appreciate what he was trying to do because he ran the high side because Bland ran. He was out of the way.
Yeah.
But he came off the corner, and this is the same problem he had earlier when he spun out. Mm-hmm. He came off the corner. I bet if you go on his onboard, he has the wheel cranked to the left. Let's see.
Yep.
He has the wheel cranked.
Oof, it's even worse at one point.
Yeah.
Can't even see the stripe anymore.
Yeah, it's as far left as this going to go, really. He's coming off the corner. Bland thinks he's going to stay up by the wall. He's got the wheel cranked left. He's never going to stay by the wall. and that's
that
a tough
brings out
break.
a caution too.
Yeah,
So
that changed the whole race too.
yeah, so that's another thing too. Is as a lap car, you've now impacted the race, which is maybe the last thing you want to do when you're that
Yeah.
amount of laps down. I get, like, I'm not saying you can't race, but like when you're in the position of 10, like if you're more than 5 laps down,
Right.
with the length of these CDRA races, if you're more than 5 laps down, you really, the priority needs to turn into, okay, I'm just trying to maximize my points day.
And a rule, I'm not saying anyone else has to do this. This is a rule I have for myself. If I'm more than 4 laps down with 10 laps to go, I might just park it.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing I'm going to gain from riding around, and the most I could do is just ride around damaged and then screw up the leaders race. I don't want to do that. That's the last thing I want to do. So I'm just going to park it. I'm not saying anyone else has to do that, especially if you're battling someone for position.
Yeah.
You stay out there. But if I'm riding around 35th, damaged engine, the car handles like crap, I'm gonna pull off. I'm not gonna stay up there and race.
All right, this is our winner with 13 laps to go, restarting 25th, and this is the difference that tires will give you late into a race. We want to showcase this one right here. Check out all of this right now. You'll see him make some moves that make you really feel like you're Superman, as Curtis Granger will just cut through the field. We'll speed it up a little bit. We don't have a lot of time, but you'll see here. He just makes some crazy moves because he's got the tires to do it.
This is phenomenal. He makes a move. He sticks with it, and they all pay off. And this is exactly what new tires will do for you at Iowa. They make you they stick you right to the track, and they make you feel like you can do any move on the track. And he really that's one of the best strategy moves I've really ever seen.
Yeah, real.
He stayed out for 130 some odd laps to play this strategy, and he got him the win. That's amazing.
Like, keep in mind, within 10 laps to go, and here he is. He got from 26th to 13th. He's already halved it, and now he's moving past the 10. And you'll just see him keep making these moves, and he'll get all the way to the leaders here. And by the time he gets to the leaders, as we fast forward heavily, he's back at the leaders. He gets around Bland, 147, 3 laps to go.
These guys are dead meat, really, at this point. Those guys are on really old tires. He's on the freshest tires in the field.
Yeah.
There's no way. I mean, unless he spins out or something, there's no way these guys are going to be able to hold him off. See, look at that.
Yeah.
He flies right in the corner.
Ericsson and Everhart are thinking, well, we're battling out for the win. Nope. Here comes Curtis Granger. And he's going to make the move on Ericsson like he's standing still. He gets
I think
to the
even Curtis
panel.
Granger will admit that, Curtis was not the fastest truck in the race at any point in the race. It was Matt Everhart, Jordan Ericsson, or Justin Bland. But Curtis Granger played the strategy right. A fantastic strategy, and this is exactly what good strategy will get you.
So you'll see he'll make the pass, but he's kind of impaired. Everhart kind of gets impaired, and unfortunately, this is where this occurs. There's those two getting by Cuvier, and then Cuvier gets the wall.
Yeah.
Gets the abutment. Comes up into traffic.
Yeah. And see, that's another instance of he was trying to do the right thing.
Yeah.
But he got out of those guys' way, and he actually did a really good job. I'm going to admit, he did a pretty good job of getting out of the leader's way.
Yeah.
He stayed up there. He let those guys race their preferred line. Maybe could have been a little bit higher up on the wall to give Everhart a better exit. But he tried to stay up there. And he saw Jordan. He tried to get as close to the wall as he could. He got into the wall, trying to give Ericsson as much room as he can. And as soon as he got into the wall, it's a disaster. And there was a little bit of net code too.
Yeah.
So
the other thing about this too is that this is with 2 laps to go.
Yeah.
And because with 2 laps to go, it collected 4, 5 trucks, and it also created a green-white checker situation. So a truck 60 laps down, creates a green-white checker situation, which is really
And see,
frustrating.
if it were me, and I was in the 45 truck, and I caused the caution with Bland earlier that already set up a crazy finish before,
Yeah.
I'm just pulling off at that point. He decided to stay out, and it happened basically the same thing happened again, which is just really important. And then he spins down here, hits the worst. By the way, hits the worst possible point in the
Worst
wall.
possible spot. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
like that's just gonna bounce you right back up onto the track, and
effectively a worse accident than the one with Bland because it takes out multiple more drivers.
it takes out a bunch of people having a really good run.
The one with
really
Bland was all by himself, and then that one created all of that, and it's just unfortunate for Mr. Cuvier there. So gonna move on to our first green-white checker, and that's gonna be in between the leaders, and this is just wrong place, wrong time. Well, only way you could really say it is this is just wrong place, wrong time. Jordan Erickson and Matt Everett. Now, keep in mind, Granger got the lead. He's gone. He is taking the lead. So now these guys...
This race is effectively a battle for second place.
Yeah.
There's not really any way they're going to be able to pass Curtis here.
Absolutely. So we cut to this replay here, and they're going to see Jordan Erickson and Matt Everhart in turn 3. They're battling hard for the second position, and doop, there it is, and
the
doop, there it is, and boop, there it is.
Yeah.
And you see how that can all snowball. Now, granted, it's not the same incident, but because a truck 60 laps down, creating an accident with 2 laps to go, it leads to all of this.
Yeah, that's Everhart. Everhart thought he had this race won, and he probably should have had this race won had those 2 cautions not come out.
Mm-hmm.
So he's trying to get everything he can get. Erickson's not in the points. The points doesn't matter to him.
No.
So he's up there racing just to get the win. Everhart's trying everything he can do to maximize his points as best he can, get around Erickson, and he just barely he gasses up a little too early and barely clips Erickson, and that just sets off this entire huge wreck here.
Yeah, the whole front stretch basically gets blocked there, and so that's unfortunate, and you see how
that's
things
just a tough
can
deal.
You can see how things just snowball, and it's unfortunate, but that's our lesson for this week. Really, is just if you're a lap truck, it doesn't mean that you're situational. If you're out of it, your situational awareness cannot be out of it too.
Right. You gotta keep your head in the game, even if you're having a rough day. You don't want to make other people have rough days too.
Yeah, because it could
lead to it could lead to
this kind of thing.
Big mess here. Yeah.
So that's gonna do it for Iowa, and Mitchell, a pretty crazy race. Curtis Granger ended up getting the victory though.
Yeah, shout out to Curtis Granger too. Me and
amazing strategy call. And
Curtis started out in court, I think in the truck season that I did in my first season, and I won the Darlington race for Court Cup like a couple weeks ago, maybe 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And Curtis sent me a message. He said, this is I finished second to you again like I did in Eldora, which Eldora was my first truck win on the Court Tuesday side when I first joined.
Right.
And I thought it was hilarious that he remembered that.
The original Court Truck Series, actually.
Yeah. He remembered that from all that long ago, and me and him have always had good races. And I shout out to him. Good. I'm happy that he got a win here.
Yeah, really good for him. And he's had a really great year in the Cup Series, too. He finished second to you at Darlington 2 weeks ago, like you just mentioned. He's also had some really, really good runs. I think he had a top 10 last night at Chicagoland as well.
Yep.
Hey, Mitchell, what do you say we go through a lap of the Roval?
I'm ready, man. Let's do it.
We got a lap that was posted earlier in the week by the CDRA Motorsports Drop Super Truck Twitter account, and we got it from Brandon Ward. And let's go ahead and take a look and see what kind of lap Brandon Ward will go through. Why don't you take us through this one here and kind of show us what exactly we're looking at when it comes to the Charlotte Motor Speedway Roval here on Monday.
Yeah, okay. So we're coming down into the final chicane here, slowing down right where the blue line there kind of bows into the pit lane there. Got to make sure you don't hit that blue curb, but get as close to it as you can for the final chicane. Do the same thing for the left one here. And then full gas basically across the start finish line, and keep your foot in it. Go all the way down here. Brake at the 1, maybe in between the 1 and the 2 there. Again, don't want to hit the blue curb. Keep it in 3rd gear. Go through there, and then a little bit of gas here. You don't want to. He uses full gas. I don't like to use full gas because it gets you a little too sideways for that corner right there, and that's a really treacherous part of the track. And I've lost a lot there. So you come down here, again, don't want to hit the blue. He gets a little piece of the blue there, but that's fine. Hit a little bit of that paint there on the left side, get you a good apex for this. Again, don't mess with the blue. Come out here, go over the curb, get as close as you can as the grass. It won't give you an off track. I see a lot of people try to stay to the right of that curb. You can go to the left of the curb. It's fine. Again, come down here. He got a little loose on the brakes. That's a treacherous part of the track on the braking. Hit the little bit of the paint there on the left. You can go over this curb too. Get as close to this wall as you can. Go over that curb. It won't give you an off track. You don't got to worry. He gets a little sideways here. This is a real treacherous part of the track here. You want to hit this curb and get as close as you can as the cones here and across that line, and then get as close as you can to that wall, and then gas it up real good coming out of here. Get yourself a good run coming onto the oval part of the track.
Now
and then
that downhill left-hander. Sorry to interrupt, but that downhill left-hander here, really treacherous. And I just want to mention his throttle trace. Take a look here in the corner. Never gets full throttle ever.
That's a really tough place on the track. And if you get full throttle, it starts sliding, and you really don't want to do that in any car really here. So you get a good run going down through here, get on the left as close as you can, and then go out towards the wall. Can we pause it there? Can we go back a little bit?
Yeah.
Right there. I like to go closer to the wall. I like to actually cross the line there and get as close as I can. And then that kind of sets it up to where I can kind of throttle it like a lot of the way going through the exit there, close to that wall up there, where it sticks out on the left. You can get as close to that as you can, and then full throttle. And I think that's one of my best points on the track is I can gas it up a lot,
kind of
straightening and get a really good run. Yeah, you want to straighten it out as much as you can. Yeah.
Yeah, as this is such a important corner because now you head back out onto the Speedway.
Yeah, and now you're back onto the 1 and 2, Charlotte 1 and 2, just like you would in any car. You want to get down towards the bottom. Now, this is a road setup, so it's not going to handle exactly like, an oval car would. It's going to be a little bit wonky, but again, you want to stay as close to the blue line as you can, just like you would in any NASCAR here. You come down into the backstretch here. You can kind of see light or numbers on the wall. I like to brake at the 3, just like he did. He gets down here. He starts downshifting. Downshift to 2nd. I don't like to downshift to 1st. It's too much wheel spin. You downshift, hit those curbs there. Don't hit the blue though. Don't hit the turtle, and then get as close to this wall as you can. Get a good run out, and you can run all over this red, white, and blue paint here down here too. You can run all over that and not get it off track, and that can help you run coming out of there.
Yeah, this is all fair game here. You can go ahead and run that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
And then we're going back into 3 and 4. That's the normal NASCAR corner. Run as close as you can to the blue line here.
The apron line, yeah.
Yeah. And then coming up here, there's going to be dots on the track, and this is a really, really good braking point here. I go a little bit further. Yeah, there we go. There's 3 dots here, and then if we go a little bit further up, there's 2 dots, and then there's 1 dot, and that's the final dot before where that line change, like that line ends. Yeah, that's where I like to brake. You can brake a little sooner if you want, be a little bit more stable, but that's where I brake, and that sets me up pretty good for this final chicane. And then you come down here.
That sounds just about where he gets on the brake here too. So.
Yeah. You come down here, brake there, and then get as close as you can to this blue line. Don't get too far out on the grass though; it will spin you out. And then again, hit the curb. Don't get that blue curb, and then full throttle.
Yep. So we'll watch it back at full speed here if we can.
Yep.
And just to point out everything that you just pointed out to us.
Yeah. So again, curb, full throttle. Start braking before you get to this corner, a little bit at the 2 maybe. There you go. That's a 3rd gear corner too. It's kind of hard to understand why it would be, but it is.
Yeah.
You get through there, not a lot of gas.
Kind of keeping the same gear through these two corners, right?
Yeah, you can actually keep the same gear. I don't know, the truck might be a little bit different gearing, but you can actually keep, I know in the Cup car, you can keep it pretty much second gear this whole infield. So, and that's pretty useful. You don't have to shift much, so that's pretty good.
Here.
You might have to shift a little bit here. Get on the throttle. Yeah, he got a little loose. That'll happen. Come back out. Get on the gas here.
And real quick, when he comes into the chicane here, I want you to listen closely. You'll hear the wheel hop because he actually does downshift into first gear here, going into the final corner or into the chicane here. Take a listen.
Yeah. Yeah, there it is. You can actually see it too. Yeah.
Yeah.
He shifted down to the first. I personally don't shift down to the first. It kind of compromises your run that you get back on the oval, but you don't have to deal with the wheel hop. So it's kind of you get to choose pick your poison really. And you come down here, brake at the 1 dot, and that's your lap.
Second gear through there, yeah.
Second gear, yeah. And yeah, there you go.
There you go. All right. Well, there's a preview for the Roval, and of course, in a couple weeks after that, we'll be at Kentucky, an area that you are very familiar with, being from Paducah, Kentucky. He's not actually from Paducah, Kentucky, but yeah. So that's just about going to do it for us here on Cedar Twitch Teach. And Mitchell, I want to say thank you very much for being a part of it this week.
Hey man, no problem. I'll be if you want me back, I'll be back. I'm happy to help and happy to see this series thrive and grow.
Yeah, and real quick, one last thing. I don't have a graphic made up for it. I meant to do it before we went on air here tonight, but I did not. I really apologize, but I did want to mention what our road course server will be like next Monday night, because with the road course, it's a little bit different. We don't run any sort of tire limit. There's no sort of incident limit as well, which is nice, but you will be limited to 50% fuel. But the Roval will have 2 hours of practice. There will be one. We'll be doing the split practices like we do, but you'll get an extra half hour in that. You'll actually get a practice from 7 to 8:30 in those servers. So 90-minute practices split across 2 servers, and then 1 hour, or not 1 hour, 1/2 hour, so 30 minutes attached to the race server starting at 8:30 Eastern. There will be no LCQ. There will be no last chance qualifier, so top 40 will make it in on time. No questions, no exceptions. It's going to be the top 40 on time. There will be no LCQ race on Monday night. So, Mitchell, thank you very much for your time. Greatly appreciate it, and I might have to take you up on that offer to help us out here in the future.
I'm glad to do these whenever you want me in here. So I had a lot of fun, and hopefully some people learn some lessons there.
Yeah, we're not sure if we're going to be doing one for the Roval. It's kind of tough to do these for road courses because we don't have the cautions to go off of, or however. But if enough people point out specific incidents or just things that they want to get help with when it comes to road course racing, maybe if there's enough of them, we'll scrounge together enough to do a show next week. But if not, we'll definitely be back with Kentucky in 2 weeks. So for Mitchell Riggs, I'm David Amboys. Thank you so much for watching Cedar Twitch Teach. We'll be back hopefully next week, maybe 2 weeks. We don't know, but thank you very much for watching, and thank you for your support, and we'll see you guys next time. So long, everybody.
Yep.